happy Lila Day, happy Jen Day. Lila used to get on my nerves, and she would demand in front of the meeting, everybody stand up and hold hands, and we're going to meditate. And I would go, oh God, 15 minutes, we're going to meditate. And Lila would have you breathing in and breathing out, and breathing in and breathing out, and a couple of people would pass out. She said, hold your breath till I tell you to stop, and they were falling like leaves. Boy, that Lila. But after a while, we began to notice that at first we were all oxygen depleted, and we couldn't do that. But then there came a time where her message was, try to calm down inside so that your brains were able to function better. So as I think about her message, and I think about what a warrior, some of these pictures, one of them looks like she was the Hamburglar, somebody said, and how poetic and artistic, and what a wordsmith to be able to talk about the horrors of not having water, to be able to talk about the horrors of being mistreated because of the color of your skin, the horrors that you were submitted to, subjected to because you were a girl. And the different areas that she was always able to say, we can do better and we can be better than that. And she would stand there with that look. We can do this. And you were just mesmerized in her power and in her strength. I lower my voice when I get ready to talk about her because I'm still mad. In the movie Dances with Wolves, there's a statement, and the statement says, I ain't the thinker that Kickenberg was. I ain't the thinker that the politicians and those folks that can talk about Lila are, because I'm still angry. I work with welfare rights, and when this kind of pain comes, I want to hit somebody, but I don't know who to hit. I'm angry, didn't want to send her back. And I'm still mad, and I can't wait until I see her again, because I'm going to punch her. And tell her, did you know this misery you done put us into? Why you do that? And I felt the same way about Jen. I was going to a funeral a number of years ago. And I called Jen on the phone, and I said, Jen, you know, I'm going to such and such. And people said, yeah, Mo, I got to go to a funeral today, too. Oh, man. So we talked about whatever, and Jen, what time do you have to be where you going? And he said whatever time there was, and I said, you know, I got to be there about the same time. She said, God, I got to go all the way over to the east side. Jen said, I got to go to the east side, too. I said, Jen, who you going to see? He said, Mo, who you going to see? And we said her name at the same time, Helen. And that's when I found out that Jen was a cousin by marriage to me. I was stunned. I had known Jen and married 180 years, and it never occurred to me that he was part of my extended family. And when I think about Jen, Local 600, organizing what Sylvia said, and then I put this jacket on today, and I went and found this button. And this button is for Lila and for Jen. And what this button says and what it makes me think of every day of my life when I'm tired and when I'm angry, I never want to give up, but there are times that I'm ready to slip over that nonviolent line. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And the left hand, a couple of, I just want to hit somebody in the cheek. Just once, not like that one time. And I think about that, then I go back to this sign and this message. You get what you're organized to take. So for Jen and for Lila, I miss you both, and Jen, I'm going to smack you too when I see you again. My name is Maureen Taylor. I serve as state chair of Michigan Welfare Rights, and thank you so much. I'm on my way out of this building because there is a national commemorative event going on in Chicago about General Baker, and I'm a speaker. Thank you so much.
Maureen. So one of the things that Lila was very intentional about was making sure that we always had children in our spaces, right? She was a strong mentor to a lot of the children. And she's constantly reminded us that, look, the reasons we're doing this, the reasons why we don't want to pass this on to the next generation is because we know what the suffering looks like and they don't have to live this way. She also made sure that we understood how they were tied to indigenous traditions. And so when we were setting up today's legacy memorial, we knew that we had to incorporate the children. So I just want to highlight before our children in the back from St. Charles Parish have to leave, if you wouldn't mind all coming up. In fact, if their chaperones wouldn't mind coming up as well. So we were blessed for Sister Mary Ellen to get in touch with this children's dance group. They're her parish, and we're honored that they would come here today and participate in our procession and dance and offer their time to this memory. So thank you again so much for being here. And I ask everyone to come for just a second to say a word, because it's very, very meaningful that you're here. Please all come up here and then we'll be here. Would you like to get on the mic?
Thank you for inviting us today. I know this is a special day, the celebration. She's where she's supposed to be. I know we might want her here, but God has called her home. And I want to say thank you again for inviting the St. Charles Praise Dancers, and we love you all. Thank you again.
One of the things I love most about Mama Lila is how she always engaged the children. And at her memorial service, I ran into a good friend of mine, Fode, who brought his drum to the service. And then he took his drum to the reception. And he asked his mother and I, why was there no drumming? So today he opened up the service.
I was really prepared to say anything, but Mama Lila, I think I met her a couple years ago, and like I remember her taking us to our house, giving us rides a lot, and I don't really remember having deep conversations with her. We didn't really have a strong relationship. But I know my sister and her had a good relationship. And the worst that she did is I think it was good. And yeah, that's it.
All right. We want you to meet and hear from a few more of the children that have really been impacted by the life and legacy and lessons of Lila. You're familiar with these children because they're movement babies, right? And so it was very important for us to also include them in this program and give them the chance to just speak from the heart. You know that Lila spent a lot of time with children in Detroit, but also Highland Park, Flint, wherever she went, in all these different water communities, not just here, but across the country. And so we want to give the children here a chance to also be able to say a few words.
Hi, my name is Miriam Torrey, and when I first met Mama Lila, it was like at Mama Charity Hicks' funeral, because that was my godmother, and Mama Lila, when I met her, she had encouraged me to like speak at Mama Charity's funeral, and that's when I first met her. And then as the years passed, she like started picking me up for different water events, and had me on the news and just taking me different places. And I know that like when she had always helped me through stuff, and like whenever she would pick me up, I remember this one time is when we were at the Wayne State and the news was there and we were talking about like water rights and stuff, and when we were done, we went to her house and she just like ate ice cream with me and like talked to me about different stuff, and like I just like the way that she was able to engage with everyone, and like not even like if you guys were like just in a like like a regular relationship, she was still like engaged with you and stuff. And I know that like even when like she was taking care of her husband, she would come get me and take me to like the different events and then take me to her house and eat and stuff, even when her husband was there and she was supposed to be taking care of him and stuff. And like and then I knew that like she was gonna take me to New York this November for the it was a water event that was gonna happen, and she wanted me to speak at it. And like I was just very proud that she was choosing me out of anyone she could have chosen. And I just want to thank her for everything she did in my life, and I want to thank all of you for coming to celebrate her and her work that she did.
I'm Kaylani Jones.
I am London and Blakely.
I just want to let everybody know before I speak, I'm sick, so I have a cold. If I sound weird, that's why. So I'm going to speak about some things that Mama Lila taught me. She told me that everyone needs water, that we need to, that we must commodify water, and that we must have affordability for all. Stop the shutoffs. Thank you.
I as well do want to talk about some stuff that she taught me through the years. Mama Lila taught us all that water is a human right and everyone should have access to it. She taught us all that selling water for a profit, like Nestle does, is the biggest crime against humanity. She reminded us every day that water is a living thing. It should be protected for 7 generations ahead. She always encouraged the youth to be the leaders of today, and we will carry on her legacy.
We've talked a lot about the work around water that Lila did, but she was involved in so many things, as you all know, and I think that especially now with her not being here, this is almost like a reunion of the different issues and peoples that she was engaged with. And so one of those groups that was really dear to her heart was the Detroit People's Platform, and she was really working for racial and economic justice in the city, undoing racism, and making sure that we had avenues, right, to justice. And so we're going to hear a little bit more about that from Bernard Mrzuski. And if there's anyone else here who was going to be one of the speakers, if you can also come front, we want to be able to hear from you too. I'm not sure Ms. Aldridge is here, Ms. Goodwin, or Piper. Thank you.
Now to affordable housing, to economic development, equitable economic development, and transit justice as well too. I remember Mama Lila after every event, and this is where her love comes in, this is where her generosity comes in. She's like, all right, let's take all the food that's here, all the different food here. Those trays, right? Those silver trays, you're visualizing it, right? Wrapping them up. She said, I got babies to feed. So she, was always there for everyone. You heard that earlier. She was always there for her community. And we were leading a fight for equitable transit. The Woodward bus line was rerouted away from downtown Detroit, because economic development mattered more than bus riders, but we didn't believe that, and we stepped into action. And I remember one day, we were cutting flyers, we're getting everything together, we had our t-shirts on, and we were getting out to, mobilize and put flyers on shelters and to get on the buses. And Mama Lila was going somewhere, I believe somewhere on the west side on 7 Mile. She said, all right, I'm gonna take a lot of these flyers right here. I'm gonna, she was part of every movement that required your action and required all of us to move. So we cannot, it's so hard to define her work by one thing. She was there for everyone. And she will be there for everyone now that she's an ancestor. Her work is in all of our hearts now. It's in each and every one of us. She's present here in this space. And she was, I'm so grateful for all the lessons that I've learned from her, for all the work that she has put into the work that we do at People's Platform and for each and every one of us. She has guided and shaped us, and she always reminded us that these fights that we fight, water, affordable housing, transit, all these movements are connected. And the thing that it's rooted in is justice, racial justice as well too. So I just wanted to convey on behalf of Detroit People's Platform our deepest gratitude and our love for Mama Lila and her family and all of you. And we are going to continue to fight, and we're going to continue to lead in her example. Our work we have to remember this, that our work is rooted in love. Love for our community, love for ourselves, love for our families. And just remember, when we do this work, we're doing this with Mama Lila. She transitioned, she didn't leave us. She's with us all.
What up, though? Peace, everybody. I'm long-winded, so I had to write down my thoughts. So I'm gonna go off the rails. But Mama Lila was one of my mentors, very close mentor. So much so that I would text Mama Lila at like 6 in the morning. I would call her like 6, 7 in the morning. She's one of the only people in the movement that would like talk to me at that time. Cause if you know me, I text you and I call you at like 6 in the morning, and most of the people in the movement be like, stop. They'll send me a text and they'll say, stop. And I'll be like, wait a minute, this is when I'm live, and I'm thinking. But Mama Lila was like one of the only people, that you could call at that time, and she'll be full on blast, like, okay, yep. I gotta call you back because I gotta call my prayer partner. So I just really miss that about her. So I was asked to speak about the Undoing Racism work. So Mama Lila, if you know her, she was always trying to get people to do the Undoing Racism training. And I'm a member of Detroit Equity Action Lab, AKA DEAL. And so with that, if I'm not mistaken, she was trying to bridge that gap and bring that national and international training into that space. And so if you knew Mama Lila, she was always asking people to do this Undoing Racism training. So I remember I signed up for the training, and then like myself and maybe like 1 or 2 more people that were from DEAL signed up for it. So she was so excited. And it was here at the Cass Commons. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like a 3-day training. And after the training, you get this kind of like certification, because then you're able to like utilize that and then go and then start doing some Undoing Racism training. So Mama Lila was like, what was your biggest takeaway from the Undoing Racism training? And I said, it wasn't any white people there. And she was like, really? I said, yeah. I said, we know about racism. I'm trying to figure out how there was no white people at this Undoing Racism. And she was like, yeah, that's a good one. And she was like, well, what about the training in itself? Did you take from it? And I said, you know what? One of the most powerful things was one of the the white elders who led this training, and he told this story about his like revelation in the movement, in that he came to a certain point where he felt that I guess some uncomfortability, and he said, you know, myself as a white man that consider myself a leftist, I just got to a point where I thought it was wrong that here we are and going to churches all over the country teaching black and brown people in the church about being anti-capitalist, when these are the people who need capital. And Mama Lila was like, man, I never thought about that. And I was like, yeah. I said, because that was the thing that I could never put my finger on, that I felt was like, kind of like, you know, rubbed me the wrong way. Is like, how come all these anti-capitalists are getting all these grants for like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then trying to teach us to not be capitalists and come volunteer for stuff while they're getting paid? And I was like, yeah, I said I didn't have the language for that. I was like, and it wasn't until I went to the training and that this white man had to tell me that. And I was like, yeah, that's what was making me feel funny. And Mama Lila was like, yeah, that's a good point. So, you know, I just appreciate, you know, being able to have those types of conversations with Mama Lila. I don't know what's going to happen with the Undoing Racism work, because Mama Lila was like the only representative in Michigan from like that organization. Now we do have Deal, and we have people who take those trainings, and we have people, you know, obviously people in this room who care about undoing racism, but I guess like for me, one of my challenges is, how are we gonna support that work that Mama Lila dedicated her life to of undoing racism? Like, how do we carry the undoing racism forward? Because it's one thing for us to all say to ourselves, like, yeah, I'm against racism, and then we go and like have another event and then celebrate our leaders and talk about how much we love them, but like, how do we move that forward? So that's one thing. And then the very last thing is Mama Lila was very much about relationships. And so in the Undoing Racism work, one thing that I noticed that she does that's very different than a lot of the rest of the movement is she was in those difficult spaces. So she was there at the table with government, with big business, with all these places. How are we going to undo racism if it's just all the radical leftists together celebrating Marxism all the time? Like, how do we wedge ourselves into those very difficult spaces of university, of big business, and how do we continue to not say, I don't want to be there because, quote unquote, those people. But those are the people that are making decisions that are impacting us, and then we continue to get grants from spaces that get money from those people to fight against those things. So anyway, just had those types of conversations with Mama Lila, so I just want to challenge us, if we're really undoing racism, then how are we actually undoing racism, and how can we continue Mama Lila's work to be in those very difficult spaces and be at those tables and be in their faces like Mama Lila was and challenging those people to change policy. So that's all I want to just like celebrate Mama Lila today with that.
Thank you, Piper. I also just want to acknowledge Piper was one of the folks that helped with the planning of today's events too, and also helped get us a donation from Colors Restaurant, which has been part of our lunch today. So thank you so much too for all of the good work that you do and the artistry that you bring to the city. So we're fortunate to also have Daryl Goodwin, who's here also speaking on behalf of Deal. And so we're fortunate to learn a little bit more about what's going to be happening with the program going forward. Peter Hammer, I believe, is going to try to join us later, but we wanted to also hear a little bit more about the folks who are continuing the work. So, Daryl?
I'm really not a talking person, and my stomach is all balled up in knots, and I'm really trying not to throw up. But piggybacking on some of the things that Piper said is kind of ironic. When I got hired into Deal, I started on the Tuesday, and then that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I met Mama Lila with her Undoing Racism training. And here it is, I'm trying to keep up with Mama Lila, and I'm like, where'd she get this energy from? She's just running all around me. And it's like, ooh, slow down, just so I can catch up with you. But to come back today to honor her is kind of like a closing for me, because I've been in denial for so long since I heard that she passed. And hearing everyone, yeah, it's helpful. But with Detroit Equity Action Lab, we finally got Mama Lila as our curriculum builder for our deal 4 cohort, and it was just, for me, a wonderful experience that I was about to be a part of, because when I first started, I was on the outside of deal, but once Mama Lila came in, she was like, oh no, everybody is part of deal, everybody is a part of staff, nobody's position is less than anyone else, and we're all together. Our moving forward with our program is kind of hard, because Mama Lila wanted it to grow organically, and she was really the only person who really had that vision that we really didn't get a chance to really see, because shortly after we started the 4th cohort, unfortunately, she passed on us. And we grouped together, and we haven't, there would never be a replacement for Mama Lila. But what we did was come together and try to do our best to uphold what she wanted for deal 4's cohort. Professor Hammer, the director of the program, he couldn't be here today because he's at another event down at Wayne State, the MLK Drum Major for Justice award ceremony. Few things that will really, really hold tight with me and Mama Lila is her food and fellowship, because she was all about the food and feeding people, and like Piper said, building relationships. I know I'm all over the place, but with Mama Lila, I have so many thoughts in my head and I want to say, but I just don't know how to say it, and I just wish I had more time to be with her. And let's just take a moment for Mama Lila. Mama Lila always told me that I was important and I had a voice, and I should have more confidence in myself, because I was worthy and I am worthy. But I always talked down about me and never felt that I was never enough. But coming into deal, Mama Lila has shown me that with love and support, anything is possible. And I'm standing here at this podium today with my big girl drawers on and my big girl shoes on, because Mama Lila said that I am somebody, and I'm starting to believe that, and I would not have to believe that.
Thank you so much for So, yeah, I think we sort of had like a pact. We were gonna cry today. We're gonna celebrate, but coming up, right? Again, this day is really important because we also are honoring the memory of General Baker. And no better person than we can be here to celebrate with. We're gonna have Marianne Kramer offer some reflections as well. And we're gonna close out with some words from the author, poet for our city, Tawana Petty. And then we're gonna have a closing song and proceed to lunch. So, thank you very much.